Hey everybody, welcome to Tales from the Fog. I am your host, Veronica. With me is Casey, and this time we had the opportunity to do something really fun. We got to record a live podcast at Midsummer Scream 2019. We hosted a panel called So You Want to Be a Haunter, and we were able to interview members of CalHauntS, who did the beautiful entrance at the front of the Hall of Shadows.
All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the first live Tales from the Fog podcast. How is everybody doing today? We have a very special panel of guests here, and I want to make sure we give it up for them for that amazing Hall of Shadow entrance. I think they're insane, but it was absolutely amazing. So give it up for them for putting their heart and soul into that. My name is Casey. I'm the host of Tales from the Fog, along with my lovely wife, Veronica. How are you doing?
Hey everybody, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And then let's go ahead and introduce our panel. We're going to start off with Guy, right over here. Perfect. He's been a home hunter for 25 years, and during that time, he's built and designed yard displays through to full-blown walkthrough attractions, and they usually feature a new theme every single year. And Guy, what was your favorite thing that you worked on in the Hall of Shadow entrance this year?
Everything.
Well, that's a loaded question. So, emptying the bottles of liquor in between the saw cuts. And those who know me know that's probably the truth. I gotta say, building a full-size plane is, three-quarter size plane is amazing. I mean, if you think about the technology in the old days of how they actually made a device, were brave enough to climb in on top of it with a few gallons of gasoline under their butt and take off. That's cool. When somebody tells you, hey, we got this great idea, we're gonna crash one inside a building and set it all up, it's like, I've never done that before. Let's give it a shot. I really enjoyed that.
Wow, it's awesome too. I love the little tiki monster that's hanging on the flaps.
Hanging down, giving us a show.
Yes. All right, next up on our list is Preston Meyer right over here, Rotten Apple 807. 907? Yeah. He's been a hunter for 29 years, and he tackles everything from animatronics, pneumatics, electronics, mini processors, electrical wiring, lights, flat building, and fire department permitting, which might be a good question if you guys have any issues with that. I know a lot of home haunts do. Preston, what was your favorite thing you worked on at the Hall of Shadows today?
I think, again, the airplane. Being creative in building something that was built in a whole different way back then, because they used a concrete form to form the plywood, and of course we didn't do that, but still make it look reasonably accurate so it's believable when people come in and say, oh, that's an airplane. That was our biggest challenges here.
Awesome.
Next we have Diane Meyer. Diane has been running Rotten Apple 907 Haunt for 29 years. Can we just take a moment and appreciate that? 29 years, guys. That's fantastic. She's an artist with a deep passion for decorative painting, which started with her when her daughter was young and turned into a career teaching all over the States and published over 13 books. That's fantastic. There's a lot to unpack there. But as the rhythm is going, can you tell us about your favorite thing about the entrance to the Hall of Shadows?
The favorite thing that I because I worked on it, was the tiki, the large talking tiki.
Tum tum.
Tum tum. And Dimitri here is the one that I carved it out of foam, and then Dimitri got it running. Well, got parts of it running, then Preston got the other parts running. So it's a combination of everything. So that was fine. And everybody's having a blast playing with it.
It's pretty awesome.
Eric.
All right, next we have Greg Packard. Greg Packard is a veteran home haunter with more than 15 years of experience, progressing from a small display to a large-scale, highly themed walkthrough attraction called Restless Souls Manor. That's awesome. All right, so now tell us about your favorite thing in the entrance to the Hall of Shadows.
So I'm that person that never answers a question. So
You don't have that option today.
they laugh because they know. So I really enjoyed everything from the entire design through build,
You enjoyed
setup,
everything?
everything. Every step,
Really?
every moment. It's been fantastic. I mean, yeah, the plane was great, but I got to tell you, I have a love-hate relationship with that sign. Because it's just been through so much to get that thing the way it looks right now, which I think it looks pretty doggone good right now. So,
Yeah,
I agree.
it looks
Looks really
amazing.
yeah.
All right, next up is Shannon Tyra. Shannon is an artist with an interest in faux painting and foam working, which is absolutely amazing. And she is a member of CalHauntS and currently serves as the organizing committee member for the group, which I'm sure is a lot of fun.
Loads of fun.
So you heard cats.
What was your favorite part of the Hall of Shadow entrance this year?
I'd have to say it wasn't any particular thing that we worked on, because I think I kind of had my hands on everything, a little bit. It was actually these people right here. I love they're like a family. There's so much fun, so much laughter. Yes, a little bit of alcohol was involved. But that's my favorite. That was what I looked forward to every weekend, because we got tired. We got real tired, and it
Yeah.
was hot and miserable, but we kept showing up and we kept laughing and we kept having a great time. So that was it, really. I know
Well, that's
a
interesting, 'cause
corny
that's
answer. It's a corny answer.
No, but that's what it takes. You have to, you're doing really hard work. You have to enjoy yourself. If you're going there and you work and it feels like work, you don't want to do it anymore.
Yep. Yeah.
Especially if you do it for free.
Sick people.
All right, next up we have Jason Thompson down here. He created multiple successful haunts and themed experiences growing up in the Central Valley, and he joined Rotten Apple in 2007. And in 2011, he partnered in creating Old Town Haunt, which was located in Pasadena, and shortly thereafter, Neil Patrick Harris created the annual upscale haunt for the Magic Castle. And he currently is part of the Ghost Train team in Griffith Park, if you've been in to experience that. Jason, what was your favorite part of the Hall of Shadows this year?
Watching everybody drink.
Good man. I feel like we should have gotten some tiki drinks before we came up here.
Greg makes a good Gregorita. So, but yes, for me it'd be Dum Dum.
Awesome.
Working all that audio. If you were to go back there and look at that audio, it's just a spaghetti of chords everywhere just to get that thing working. And what we did is we have a camera and a microphone, so that way the person behind the scenes can look and see the people and actually physically interact with those people. So that was very good.
That's awesome. It's like the magical fountain in Islands of Adventure.
All right. And finally on the panel, correct? All right, man.
Last but not least.
Look, I love you. I can't pronounce your last name. I need you to help a girl out.
Actually, I don't think any of us know.
He can pronounce it really good.
Nobody.
All right, well, let it roar.
Yeah. I'm Dmitry Slobodsky.
Slabrodsky.
Slobodsky.
Say it again.
Slobodsky.
One more time.
Children.
Thank you.
Slobodsky.
All righty. Dmitry comes to us. He was born and raised in Kiev, Ukraine, which is where that beautiful accent comes from. Dmitry is the founder of Haunted Grounds Home Haunt in Granada Hills, and he's created his own animatronic features, many of which you will see in the Hall of Shadows. So, Dmitry, tell us about the monkey.
Okay. It's our joke. It's like before. It's a first meeting when we start planning our Hall of Shadow like about 6 months ago. That's our first meeting when we decide what we're gonna do. So for the joke, I bring some airplane parts like a joke to the Preston, because we still talking about we're gonna build airplane or no airplane, and Payback to me was like 5 minutes later, Diane came out with a monkey. And she's like, okay, that's your monkey. I said, okay, if we have a monkey, we have to build monkey. So those 2 monkeys on top, hopefully they're still running when you're coming in.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, because they being so crazy to me. Monkey is my back. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's like, sometimes we work your days off, it's always running. And when it's supposed to run, it doesn't want to run. It's always wants to kill you. And that's why don't ask me about my favorite. I don't like that. It's that challenge, and that challenge was killing me. And but it's like, like I want to back to like Shannon said about family. You know what? It's always been challenge, and for me, I love challenges. And like Diana or somebody come out with an idea, let's do it. And I say, you know what? It's a challenge. Let's do it. And I have no idea how to do it. And like like monkey, for example. I weld that all everything on our website and our Facebook page. I have no idea how to weld. I go to YouTube, I borrow the welder, and like 1 week later, I have a frame. So it's always challenge, and I love accept challenges. That probably wouldn't happen if I probably not in this group, and it's so basically our group is like a family. Like we're spending lots of time as a family. We're sacrificing our own time and our own family time. Like my son and my mom's here, and tomorrow is my anniversary with my wife. Woo!
Happy anniversary!
24 years, and Greg got last week anniversary, 34 years. So it's great. So it's always families. We're supporting each other in our group. We love each other. You know what? And you have to be supported in our family. Like all my family, my son, my mom, my wife, always supportive. So we can't do without. So that's number one for me. It's always like that. So, okay.
And Dimitri likes to set challenges.
Yeah. I love challenges.
That's how he said.
So-
And he also likes to play with his monkey.
And just really quick, the people in the front row also helped out. So if you want to introduce yourself really quick.
Jim Macias.
Amanda Macias.
Pamela Paraquet.
Gwen Zimlin.
David Rosenthal.
Marissa Cano.
Javier Cano.
Devin Telligman.
Yep.
Gary Landon.
Sylvia Vega.
Tim Fowler.
Pam's too far away from the mic, but I can't get to her.
Just scream it.
Eric.
Way in the back.
Oh, Darren.
And Darren.
Yeah, we wouldn't have the trailer without Darren.
All right, so this is actually going to be kind of a Q&A format for everybody that's up here. If you have a question about how to build a haunt, how to design a haunt, even if it's a specific thing like a pneumatic or anything that you want to know, these guys have the knowledge. So you can go up to Jason. He has the microphone. You can ask the question, and our panel will go ahead and answer that for you.
Don't go to them.
Before we do that, though, we
need
want
normal people.
someone to take the opportunity to, because we have a lot of CalHauntS people here, but there are people listening who may not know what it is that you do. So if someone could kind of give us an overview of who you are and what you're about and what you make.
Thank you. I'm a two-fisted kind of drinker. Will I not be a two-fisted kind of talker? So CalHauntS, I'm one of the old members here.
We're the next ones.
Diane and I both joined at about the same time. I did a little bit before. Back in the old days, we'll say, there was a couple of lists that you could join, like HauntL. They were online. They were really primitive. There was no real interaction. Later, there were some campouts by people who would like to do haunting. They'd kind of get together. They'd go out and kind of have a party and build sets, per se, but not a lot. During that duration in Northern California, there were some people who said, this Halloween's starting to grow, and we should put on kind of some shows. Now, there were party shows and some other events that went on back in Chicago and back east that started to sell Halloween. It started to become and grow. And during that duration, gentlemen started some shows up in Santa Maria. And the nucleus of this group kind of met there and started there. This group was actually originally a women's only Haunt Club.
Southern California Ladies Haunters Society.
And they realized fairly quickly that we enjoy this, but we don't have all the technical knowledge. We don't have all the ideas of what we'd like to do. And therefore, they kind of knew some of these other people that are also still with our group and invited them in. And that inception then became the CalHauntS group. There were 2 districts. There was like a northern area and a southern area. But we've been welcoming about anybody all across the board. And truly what we really are is a group of people who meet monthly, help each other design something, build something to take to their haunt to be able to use. And that is really what CalHauntS is all about.
Awesome. So if you have a question, once again, just head on up here to Jason. While we're waiting for a question, I have one because you guys did some projection mapping last year in the Frankenstein Castle. And I wanted to know, what are some of the challenges that you faced with the projection mapping?
Talk to the Russian guy.
The fact that that's the response is worrisome.
I did it. Okay, challenges. Challenge accepted. Yeah. That was, we have a fire going on in the windmill, yes, last year, and this year we're gonna do with volcano. Challenges, like last year, for example, I have no idea how to build a fire, right? So I went online, started doing YouTube. Guys, YouTube is YouTube, right? You have everything, you need just to find it. I found like how the people making fire. I realized they're using like a software like Cinema 4D or some additional, they have free versions now, how to create a fire, and I said, okay, how can map that fire? Challenge is windmill in a city of Burbank, and I'm making a software in Granada Hills, how to put it together. So that's like, okay, I need to do mapping. And mapping needs to be happen fast. So basically, when I have a windmill on a set, I need to map it on a set. So it's more technical stuff. I just did my class. I show how to do the easiest way. Last year, we plugged my computer. We ran it, and 1 hour later, everything crashed because somebody next door was, using air compressor, was killing the computer. Yeah. So it's a challenge, but that's what happened, and but we fixed it. This year, we come out, okay, we need a volcano, and Diane, Dmitry, can you do lava flow? No clue about lava. I don't know how to. Challenge accepted. Let me see what I can do, because if you try to buy that software, it's so expensive. And now we have people now, we have new members now. They're part of the movie studio, so they can help. But for example, last year I have nobody to ask, and I do myself. And so now that lava basically it's using a Raspberry Pi. I create that flow and special effects in the background like explosion and fire done by Preston. We're using Lightorama. Yeah. So that's it's a big challenge. It's also everything was done separate because volcano was in Burbank, and they just in the lava meet the volcano yesterday.
Wow. So before you accept these challenges, how many Gregoritas do you have?
And I don't drink at all. I don't.
All right, so I have a question. So the concepts that you're building and with projection mapping and things, these are kind of advanced things that you're working on, and it's based on decades upon decades of experience. The idea of the podcast is, how do you get started to do this? And all of these are independent haunters that came together to kind of help each other and teach each other and share, hoping to build something bigger than individually. But where does that person who has the space, has a little bit of cash, and has a vision, where do they start? What is the very first thing that they have to do?
It's like 1 hour ago. It was a class and a show in a class. Actually, I'm probably gonna post it on our group. You need a computer. Everybody got a computer in the house, and a projector from eBay, $50, and software is free. It's only, and after that, it's lots of tutorials. If you're I'm gonna post a link probably in our group or show the link how to download the software. Everything with digital decoration is very expensive, just remind you. And problem is, what I realized, it's not too many tutorials because people making money. And if you want something digital, you say concert halls or bars, restaurants, you want to ask somebody, oh, how did you do it? Nobody going to share it. Because in our group, we open. That's why we have a class for projection mapping. So before I'm going to do like another presentation. Like that's why we come out together. I got that idea and like somebody helping me. You don't need lots now, like it's you don't need lots of money. You need like computer, projector, and software, and I can show how to do it. Like I did it like a presentation 1 hour ago, how it was done. You do it for free, and you can do that volcano basically for free.
Cool.
Well, you can.
So we're going to be handing out Dimitri's number after the podcast. If you have any questions, you can just text him. So for Diane and Preston, you guys have ran Rotten Apple for 29 years. Over the years, what has been one of the biggest hurdles for doing a home haunt for that many years? I mean, for me, my downfall was neighbors. All right, well, so how do you get past that hurdle every year?
We haven't. It's funny because we had issues with the build, and they protested, and now they're going to try to get permit parking so that way we can't have people parking at our house, and then they called code enforcement on us, and so it's an ongoing problem. And we've tried sucking up to neighbors, we've tried, and trying to be really, really nice to them and trying to involve them in all this, and we'll just see how long we last. I mean, only takes one person to shut you down.
Casey knows that.
Yeah.
I see a lot of haunts nowadays that are going under because of 1 or 2 complaints. And one of the things we did a while ago, which we hadn't thought about when we did it, but we kept getting people saying, we want to give you something for this. This is really great. We want to give you some money for it. And of course, at a residential house, you can't take money because then you're in a business and that's instant no way. So what we did was we started taking money for charities. And the first charity I think we collected for was Habitat for Humanity because it was Katrina hurricane. After that, we realized that we're not really making that much money to give to a big charity, the Red Cross or United Way and things like that. But a local charity, it makes a huge difference. And also with being able to say that, hey, we are giving to the local Friends of the Animal Shelter or the local Boys and Girls Club. That has garnered a lot of community support where now you've got more people that are to counteract those 1 or 2 people that hate you totally and are going to do anything they can and say anything they can. And we've had one of our neighbors say that everybody on the block hates you. And well, we went around and did a petition and just asked them, do you hate the haunt? And they said, no, we're fine with the haunt. Most of the people were. There were a couple of people. And we have people coming by and stopping, and we can sell the idea of the haunt as a public service. We've even gotten permission to have some of our apprentices from the schools get community service credit for working in our haunt. So overall, that has a big impact in your community. Is we're good people. We're not just strange weirdos that do dark stuff.
Not just.
Yeah.
Not just.
Not just.
All right, so we have a first question right over here.
Hi there. I understand that Dimitri's learned everything via YouTube, so I'm not going to ask him this. Everybody else on the panel, did you have the knowledge in animatronics, electronics, and all this stuff before you started? Or did you start doing this and then you gained that knowledge as you went further?
So my first motor-driven prop was a rotisserie motor, and my first pneumatic was my homemade air ram out of PVC pipe. So now those become explosive, and don't ask me how I know those become explosive. put a little too much air to them, and then also as time, the PVC begins to flex and crack and becomes a moving projectile. So it's it's, seeing something or believing something. Before I came to this, we were at the Haunted Mansion talk. And that was the impetus for, God, that's amazing. I don't know how they did that, but I've got to learn how to do that. And the good thing about this group is there are people who have learned to manipulate materials in different ways, and that we share that manipulation, whether it be faux painting or construction or welding or any of those things. Generally, we go to Home Depot, we buy a lot of shit, and then we buy some more because we messed up the first time. Then we buy a little more, and by God, we might have an actual prop that works. So it's trial and error, and there's nothing wrong with that. Even in an error, you've learned something to make the next one better. So if I could advocate anything, whether you know how to do it or not, it's that desire to give it a try and do your best with it. And then reach out to all the people who can help you do that.
Well, yeah, CalHauntS is one of those, when we joined, we wanted to step it up to the next level. And so we found CalHauntS, actually my daughter did, and it was great because the things we knew, but then somebody else there knew how to make it happen. We knew parts of it and stuff, and then we could talk to, like Scary Terry, and for those that know him, and stuff like that. And okay, that's how you make that skull talk. That's how, or I remember one of the first meetings that we went to, remember back in the day they had a bubble witch head in the bubble? Okay. We took it to a CalHauntS meeting, and the guys all hacked it, tore it apart, and figured out how they could hack it by the end of the meeting. It was like, it was really hysterical. It was, everybody swarmed this little head that we'd bought on the way there, and and that's what CalHauntS is about, is you've got all this mass knowledge, a little bit that everybody knows. We can all put it together and help build something really cool.
Like a spinning tunnel.
Like a spinning tunnel.
So how did you come up with ideas for the themes of the haunt?
Well, I can say for me, it's just what you want to build for me. So if I'm artistic, so I like to paint and draw and carve. So I like to think of ideas that I think people would enjoy, that they would want to see and want to experience, but mostly, kind of selfishly, things that I want to build because it would be fun to do.
I have a question. How do you build a haunt in your house, if you're a youngin', without destroying all of the things in the house?
You can do that. It's easily done. We still have the screws in our ceiling to prove it. So my daughter we started this because of her birthday. Her birthday is October 26th. We had birthday parties. So we thought, okay, one of the birthday parties, let's do a little haunted house for the kids to go through. So, we put props in closets, gremlins coming out of toilets, and they actually came in, and we walled off part of our house with black felt, because that's all we could afford back then. And we went through and we screwed it, put wires up and put screws in the ceiling, and half of our house, so you go in one way and then went past all the way through and then came out the other way. And it was a little crazy when we bought the bark and we took all of our furniture out and made a graveyard with bark and everything. That was a little stupid, but
Also, the earthquake that took place.
Yeah, the earthquake was great because our walls cracked, and it was really cool. And Preston, being a building inspector, couldn't fix it because he was busy. And so I told him, I said, okay, just leave it. Halloween, we'll stick some body parts out of it. And after Halloween, you got to fix my walls. I'm not living with it. But it was great. We had extra cool stuff after the earthquake.
Awesome. We got another question over here.
Yeah, about your processes that you design these with. You guys start out with storyboards and break it down into sections, and then take each section, or what's your process in doing these themes?
I have a process.
Yeah, Greg has a process.
So our haunt has a ongoing backstory. There's a core backstory about we live in the city of Palmdale. It's about a group of people who came out of the Midwest and were early settlers in the city of Palmdale. We then take that story every year and adjust the story to create a new version of the haunt. It's always Restless Souls Manor. It always focuses on a house. However, in different years, there's been different stories. So the very first year, we had the story of the bride. And so it was a story that was about the farmer that built the house and this woman he was courting, and she disappears and reappears dead on Halloween night. And then we did stories where we had a set of witches. Well, what you didn't know is that in the story of the bride, she disappeared because there was a coven of witches that had stolen her and needed to use her for a ritual. But that was part of the previous year's story. But we had these witches in another year, and so the way the process works is we start with a story. So we start with a story, then we flesh out what spaces are in that story, right? So it's a house, so it's got certain kinds of rooms in it. There's bedrooms and could be kitchens and bathrooms, and there could be, because it was a old Victorian home or whatever, maybe there was a barn out back, those kinds of things. So we flesh out all those spaces, and then we begin to fill in the idea with characters. Who are the characters in those spaces? And then that drives the costumes, and those characters need props and they need decor in those spaces. So if there's bedrooms, there have to be beds. If there's a sitting room, there have to be chairs. And if there's a dining room, there's got to be a table and plates and all those things. So we started with the story, working the spaces, then the characters, then the props, which then also then drive things like sound, ambient sound, lighting, that kind of thing. So that's how we do it.
For Rotten Apple, we go through and we come up with ideas. We have a book of just ideas of things that we just think are cool and stuff. And unlike Greg, we think of the story after we've figured it out.
You have this really neat scene or this really neat prop. We want to do this. This will really scare people. Okay. Well, now, how do you get to there? And then once you're there, how do you get out of there? And so that when the people come, they feel like they've actually experienced something. They've gone someplace. They've done something that they ordinarily do. And the more you get them synced into the story and thinking, oh, this could really happen, they buy into this is real. So the scares become really easy.
So we've been kind of talking about the art approach and kind of expressing yourself and how you're going to make this haunt really awesome. You have to staff that haunt. How do you find and keep people who are as passionate about that haunt as you are? Booze?
Yeah. That was my wife saying you marry them. Yeah, so for us, we tap into family a lot and friends. I have some very close friends that help us out with the haunt. So, and then you have friends of friends and things like that. It is kind of amazing that when you say, hey, we're going to do this thing, people kind of look at you like you're crazy. But once they see it, they get excited about it, and they're like, wow, I want to help with that. It's really cool.
That actually goes back to your original question about how you get started. You have the money, you have the space, you need the support team, because if you don't have people who'll stick with you and actually stay with you every weekend and help you build or help you create or staff the haunt itself, whether it scares or whatever, I mean, it dies, because without that support system, it goes nowhere. It doesn't matter how much money you have, unless, of course, you're going to pay all your staff. But we don't do that at Home Haunts.
We have there's a haunt mom, right, at our haunt, right? So we feed and booze people. That helps. That's the retention part, right? The recruitment part is, hey, we want to do this really fun thing. You know, the retention part is, we'll feed you well.
They
And
suck at our house. They don't get fed at my house. They starve.
you know,
Pop-Tarts is it. That's all they get.
We have food and cocktails. That seems to help keep
We
people
don't have
around.
cocktails either.
And then it seems that there's a common theme among everyone that's part of CalHauntS, and it's your attitude about the kind of work that you do. It's that outlook that you're positive, and like shit rolls downhill. And like if you're positive and you're willing to work hard and dedicate all that sweat equity into it, the people who you've acquired will also do that, and it seems that plays a big role in your stuff as well.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, we have a crew that have helped us for a lot of years, and it is not our haunt, it's their haunt too. It's, I mean, everybody's always gives us credit for it, but we couldn't do half of what we do without Galen that's here in the audience and stuff that helps us every step of the way. We have family members that help. He helps sometimes. No. And
I married in.
yeah, sucked him in. As I said, he came to help and never left.
And believe me, that was a hard married in.
Yeah.
The whole first year I was there, I was just deflected by Melissa Meyer.
So I have a question that we actually got on Facebook after I posted we were doing this panel. Someone asked, what is, as far as scares go, what is the cheapest yet most effective scare that you could put into your haunt? That, the thing that'll just get people every time, but doesn't cost a lot to implement.
Trash can trauma. I've had people wet themselves. I've had a woman drop her child. Yes. I felt both elation and I felt fear.
Guy, explain what a trash can drama is.
Okay, so trash can trauma is really one of the very oldest props that you could actually find on the internet when it got started. And it was a trash can, an air line running into that trash can, a piece of pipe with a piece of PVC pipe over the top of it, a cap on it. Actually, I used clear tape, fishing line to hold it, and a valve. And you would turn that on, and it would go, boom! You'd put a head on top of it, you'd hit it, you'd hear this thump, and all of a sudden there's a head in front of people. And they just don't know that's coming. Now, haunting has become much more sophisticated now, but still, startle is always a great thing. An unexpected startle is always well worth it, no matter how you do that, whether that's a live actor, an animatronic, somebody jumping up behind the tree and saying, boo. Truly, that is, but a trash can trauma is truly one of the best.
There's also the bit of you don't really have to, there's the anticipation that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes you set the scene and set them up so they know something's going to happen. And a lot of times you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Right. I was just going to say, actually, probably some of the most affordable things you can do is have an actor, right? Because whatever that costs you to have that actor, if that's, a couple pieces of pizza and some sodas, that's great. Because I will tell you that you will get much more out of an actor than any inanimate prop. So they're very inexpensive. They're not easy to come by, but they're inexpensive. Something that's really cheap that you get a lot of bang for buck out of, just silly enough. Some fishing line hanging down that people walk through. I'm telling you right now, it will cost you about 5 cents, and you get a rise out of every single person that hits it.
Black thread. We didn't have fishing line. We used black thread. They'd come up the patio to get the candy, and it was black thread, no light, just the pumpkin up there, and the screams of, what is this? What has got me?
But if you want a mild cost, fantastic object, the drop panel, by far, people can see it. They can be looking right at it, and when it happens, they still are startled every time. So for around $100, you can make a really bang up drop panel. So.
I'm not part of this group. I'm just sitting here. But also, I wanted to contribute to that, is the shaker can. It's just a simple, stupid thing, but it is so efficient in the right hands. It's also annoying in the wrong hands. But, I mean,
It's a little
But
bit
a shaker
like
can in the right
chainsaws.
place is just beautiful.
Oh, and we have a question right over here.
Hello. Where do you guys find your inspiration? Is it on Pinterest? Is it from movies? Is it from other haunts? To incorporate each upcoming year that's the newest and coolest thing to attract audiences to come to your haunt?
A lot of our ideas are generated by our other haunts. You're talking about a haunt, you're talking about scares, and you're saying, well, wouldn't it be cool if it did this? Yeah, but that doesn't fit in what we're doing this year. You know, we're doing an insane asylum, you know, and then we decide, well, what if the insane asylum was on a sunken ship? You know, no, that doesn't work. But now we've got start thinking about what could you do in a sunken ship. You could have eels and tentacles, and people hate tentacles. People hate to be, so like Diane said, we have kind of a book of ideas and things, and we develop them, and some of them we work on for several years. We were going to do a toy store. Okay, it can be creepy with things that move and things, okay, but if you do it like Toys R Us, you know, you've got to make 16 boxes of Monopoly games, and boring, you know, okay, we're not going to do that. So we ended up, after about 4 years of various different things, doing Kill Petto's custom toy shop. So now you have a reason where you only need one or two of a specific toy. And this isn't some commercial thing. This is the private little. And it ended up as Geppetto's evil brother that did in Geppetto because he was jealous. And so develop the stuff. Think about it. Think about what is creepy and what is weird and what is going to make people uncomfortable. Because, again, if they're uncomfortable but kind of believable in why they're uncomfortable, easy scares.
If you want to talk about uncomfortable, Preston has done many times drag.
Yeah.
So a creepy old man with gray hair with big boobs. That's pretty creepy.
But to answer the question specifically, I do actually use Pinterest quite a bit. I use Pinterest for image, kind of inspiration, and then I asked Shannon to do it for me.
Like I said, in the old days, we had like HauntL, and it was all a description of what, it was, we passed these ideas along. Technology has driven that now we can see the image, whereas back then it was a discussion, and when the internet kind of came along, the flying crank ghost is the one that really affects. When Ferguson put that out online, that changed the haunt society. He took something he saw at Disneyland, in the small world, took it home and made a prop that any of us could build out of cheesecloth and a hanger. When you see those kind of ideas, you think, yeah, I can do that, and this year I'm going to put that to that. And I like them. I've got a book that's got 50 different ideas, and one will strike. Unfortunately, I was always almost too late to make it happen. I had 12 dragons and 60 skeletons fighting in my yard last year. Game of Thrones is a big deal, so I put up a war in my front yard. So it's what strikes your interest at that time. You think, that's different, that's cool, that might be scary, that's what I want to take. So yeah, books, magazines, movies, watch the old movies. The old classics are always the best.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was going to ask, do you guys audition actors? Like, say it's somebody you don't know. There's like, I love your haunt, I want to work it. Do you guys audition them? Do you guys have them hang around a bit and work with you a little bit to get to know them?
Haven't had that happen yet.
No?
No.
We don't
I mean,
have that.
everybody that has been in our haunt has come to us through, through somebody, right? So they're my kids' friends, or our personal friends, or what have you, or friends of friends, right?
Yeah.
So family. So haven't had to audition anybody.
We kind of get around that because we do have people that have come to us and says, oh, this looks like fun. This looks like I want to come and be an actor. Okay, well, our policy is you don't just come and play. You have to come and work the build.
Have to help
You
build.
help build, help do something. You know, there's stuff that just about anybody can do. Painting, you know, maybe you don't know tools. But like I said, we've had apprentices that we've brought up from, and yeah. And that way, they have to invest some time before they can have their fun. So
Because a lot of them don't realize, they just want to come do the fun. And especially we get a lot of kids that want to come help.
Yeah.
And that usually stops them. You know the true dedicated kids, because they're willing to get in there, they're willing to help. We had one kid that came to us when he was 7, and we're going, okay, is this going to work? You know, I mean, the walls would have flattened him. I mean, he was trying to help move walls and all this, but we've had the policy that you got to come help. That means they can paint a floor. It may not look all that great, but you know, you can go paint later over it. But they've got to know that it's just not fun. It's work, and so, you know, they just got to put in the extra little bit of work to have the fun.
Nice. And we have a question over here.
Hi, I'm not sure if you covered this because I wasn't here at the very beginning, but it seems like you guys use some of your own property, but do you have any tips about getting other property, and how would do you go through the realtor? Like, how would you rent it? And then also, like, what kind of permits would you need? It's not Film LA. Like, I just wanted to ask if you could have any insight to any of that.
Many of us use our own homes for good reason. Going outside, permitting, as you hear, some of our events are permitted events. Some of them suffer the slings and arrows accordingly. Going commercial, which basically what that becomes once you go off your home property, you start many liabilities, insurances, inspections. Costs are the biggest driver that stops that truly from many go out and try it and don't last long at it.
Yeah, I was don't have personal experience, but I know from talking with other people, right, within the group or even outside, partnering with local municipalities or charities, be that a school or Parks and Recs or something like that, if you need a space, that might be a place to start, because real estate in SoCal is a little expensive, if you hadn't noticed. So it's extremely hard to find somebody that will give you any sizable amount of space on a short term, right? Because generally you only want it for maybe 3 or 4 months. And trying to get somebody to, you know, rent you a space for that time, you know, it's easy to rent a space for a day, or a weekend, or even a week, but it's very hard to rent something for 3 months or 4 months.
And then also too, I mean, the JCs back in the day, if you remember them, that was a big one. So what you could do too is reach out to cities and parks, and they would sometimes sponsor stuff as well, especially if you do nonprofit for events and things.
And I can kind of speak a little bit to this, because our team, the Decay Brigade, we actually helped build the Huntington Haunt experience down in Huntington Beach. And the way that worked is we partnered with the Rotary Club as a charity and with the city themselves. And a lot of cities in SoCal actually have a haunted house permit that'll tell you absolutely every fire code you need to meet, every emergency exit you need to have, how many fire extinguishers for each size. Like, it tells you everything you need. Huntington Beach was not one of those. They did not have any idea how a haunted house worked. So part of what we did was we actually worked with them and actually built the permitting system with the city. And so now they do have a haunted house permit that you can go online on their website and look at, and it actually tells you everything you need to know about it. So that would be one thing. You can actually go to the city sites, the permitting office website, and just type in haunted house permit, and if they have one, it'll show up.
But the insurance is another thing.
The insurance is a total another thing, yeah.
But that's part of something that you get when you work with a city or something like that, is they kind of help you so that you can help them. You're making money for them, you're promoting for them and putting in a lot of work, and they're just giving you the money, and then, kind of taking it back. But on that, they're helping you with a lot of things like that, like paperwork and insurance and things like that. So you have that support if you can build that relationship and make it happen. But it takes a long time, and there are committees, and it can get complicated. Like it's an option, but sometimes just doing it homegrown and doing it your own way, you have that control. There's still liability. Actually, that was a question that I had later, was when it comes to liability, having it offsite versus like these people are going into your house, if you do end up using your own property, how that's different, and what kind of responsibilities you take on as the owner going through something like that.
I dropped my walkthrough. It was just there had been a fire, and I don't remember how many years back that was now, but it was a big deal. It was a home haunt, electrical fire inside. I think 3 people were killed. And it was after that, I enjoyed it and wanted to do something, but the liability of losing everything I've worked all my life for, now mine never crosses my sidewalk. Everybody stays out. Now, these other people do it differently. But it's a huge challenge when you think about all those people, and it's a litigious world anymore, unfortunately. Everybody's looking for something. And that has to be a deep consideration that you have to take before you start.
That got dark real
That's one
fast.
of the reasons we don't take money for ourselves. Because if you cross that line, it's pretty easy for somebody to say, hey, I paid for this, so now they're going to pay me. Where if you're not taking any money, you've got some other recourses to say, hey, this is just a party, this is just friends, this is just people. We don't have any financial liability in this, and you do. And you try to make it as safe as you can, and maybe even go overboard in safety even more than some of the commercial haunts. We've been to commercial haunts that do stuff that I wouldn't want to do this in my house, because this looks like a surefire way of somebody getting hurt. And if they've got $1 million insurance policy, maybe they don't care as much. But yeah, if you're at your haunt, you do. We had one instance where my daughter scared a couple. Actually, it was the guy that she scared so bad that he pushed his wife, girlfriend, significant other, whatever, down on a brick planter with roses and ran over her. And we thought sure that she was going to, she came away bloody because the roses got her, and He was so busy apologizing to her that I think the matter of liability didn't come up, fortunately. We had another kid come out screaming, throws himself on the sidewalk on his knees, cries hysterical for 5 minutes, won't talk to anybody. We're all going around, Diane mostly, because I was inside. And finally he calms down, and she says he takes a breath, gets up and says, God, that was great. I want to go again.
In the meantime, I'm thinking we're going to get our asses sued. What's going on here? Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we're pretty much out of time. We're right about 2:30. So for people that don't know and want to join CalHauntS, what's the process? Where do they go? How do they join?
They can join through Facebook. That's the fastest way. You put in your request to join Facebook. I will, or the membership coordinator, not me, next year, will send you a message asking you for your email address and stuff, and then once we get that, then they will approve your request to join.
And your real name.
Oh yeah, and your real name, because people are coming up with names so they can go on and keep their who they are. But we do ask that we get their real name and stuff.
We're a club for real people that want to come and meet other real people and do things, build things, paint things, make things. And we're not just online people that, there's a lot of information you can find online, but we like to actually get together and be able to talk and knock things around and say, well, yeah, I did that, 10 years ago I did this. Well, but now you can do the same thing with other materials, and it's a lot easier and a lot cheaper, and, oh, yeah, hey, that's a good idea. So every person in this room could be an expert on any one given thing. No matter how much experience you have or how much experience you don't have, you can add to the mix, and that's what CalHauntS is all about.
And I'd like to add on that is starting simple is not a sin and not a crime. If it's a lit pumpkin and a paper mache or cardboard box tombstone that you've put out in your front yard, by God, I love you. And I think each and every person starts that way, should start that way, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And
Sometimes
the more
it's
we
nice to
see
go
of
back
that,
that way.
and the more that's out there, the more that this kind of industry, these kind of people, we can grow and enjoy.
And for those of you guys that have haunts, how do they find Restless Souls Manor and Rotten Apple and your yard display?
I don't advertise at all. I get over 1,000 people coming. I spend hundreds of dollars in candy because I live close to a poor community. My house they come to because it's safe. My wife is a teacher in the hood, and her kids all come to my house. And that is my community service. I don't advertise. I don't need more. I don't.
Well, Restless Souls Manor has restlesssoulsmanor.com. We're also on Facebook, Restless Souls Manor, so that's how you would find us.
Same with us, Rotten Apples on Facebook, rottenapple907.com. We're got a website, and then on Facebook.
All right. Well, thank you, CalHauntS, for joining us here on our first live podcast. Thank you for everybody that came out. I hope you have an awesome Midsummer Scream. Do you have anything else to add?
No, thank you so much, you guys, for being here, for sharing all of your experience. Thanks to everyone who showed up. Thanks to Vince for recording. Thanks to my family for being here. Thanks, you guys. You guys make haunting, a little bit more fun and a little bit more worthwhile, because you can see what hard work and focus can actually make. I think it's awesome.
So there you go, our very first official live podcast for Midsummer Scream 2019. Special thanks to Rick West, Gary Baker, David Markland, and everybody who allowed us to do this amazing episode for you guys. And a very special thanks to CalHauntS and all the hard work they put into the Hall of Shadows this year. And make sure to go check out their haunts this Halloween season. You can follow us on Instagram at Tales from the Fog, on Facebook at Tales from the Fog. You can follow Veronica at
Veronica Voices.
And until next time, we'll see you in the fog.
Bye, guys.
Bye.